All right, let's talk about something that can cause a serious amount of stress. You're trying to run payroll, and QuickBooks just decides, nope, not today. Don't worry though, we're going to get this figured out, and we're going to do it fast.
Oh, it's just the worst feeling, isn't it? The deadline is right there, your team is counting on you, and the one piece of software you need most just stops. You click the button to run payroll and you get nothing, just silence.
Look, I totally get it. It is incredibly frustrating. But here's the good news. Most of the time, the fix for this is way simpler than you'd think. So just take a deep breath. Okay, let's jump in and get your payroll back online. So what does it actually look like when payroll suddenly stops working? It's not always some big dramatic crash. Sometimes it's a little sneakier, but it's just as much of a headache. Maybe you're getting that dreaded payroll service server error message popping up. Or maybe the program just hangs, that endless loading spinner the second you try to send the payroll data. If any of that sounds familiar, you are in exactly the right place.
Okay, before we jump into the how, let's talk for just a second about the why. Because, understanding the problem is half the battle, right? It almost always boils down to one of these 6 common culprits. When you look at this list, you kind of see a pattern, right? The problem is rarely some huge catastrophic failure inside QuickBooks itself. It's usually just a simple breakdown in communication between the software and everything around it. Think of it like a crossed wire. It could be something as simple as your computer's clock being wrong, a spotty internet connection, or even your antivirus software being a little too good at its job. So let's go fix those crossed wires.
All right, enough about the problem. It is time for the solution. I've boiled everything down into a really simple 3-step rescue plan to get you through this. That's it, just 3 steps. Thinking about it this way makes it a whole lot less overwhelming, doesn't it? This is your clear path from, oh no, it's broken, to, okay, everyone's paid.
So, here's our game plan. First, we're going to do a basic system check, stuff outside of QuickBooks. Then we're going to give your web browser a quick little spring cleaning. And finally, we'll use a handy tool that QuickBooks has built right in to fix itself. Ready? Let's kick things off with step 1. Okay, first things first. Before you do anything else, check the really simple stuff. Is the date and time on your computer actually correct? Believe it or not, if your clock is wrong, it can totally mess up the secure connection to the payroll servers. And of course, the obvious one, make sure your internet is stable. You would be shocked how many times these 2 little things are the entire problem.
Next up is a little tech trick, but trust me, it's easy and it works wonders. Your computer has something called a DNS cache, which is kind of like an old school phone book for the internet. Sometimes that phone book just gets outdated. So you're going to open your command prompt, you're going to type in ipconfig, that's IPCONFIG, then a space, then a /, then flush DNS. Hit enter, and boom, you're done. You've just given that phone book a fresh start.
All right, step 1 is in the books. Now for step 2, what I call the browser cleanse. You see, QuickBooks uses your browser to talk to the internet. But over time, your browser gets all cluttered up with old data, cache, cookies, all that digital junk. Sometimes that junk gets in the way and messes up the connection. Clearing it out gives QuickBooks a nice, clean line to communicate.
And that brings us to our final step, step 3. If the other stuff didn't work, the problem might be a small glitch inside QuickBooks itself. The good news is it has its own built-in repair kit. All you have to do is go to your control panel, find QuickBooks in your list of programs, and you'll see an option to repair. Just click that, let it do its thing, restart your computer, and a lot of the time, the software just magically fixes itself.
Fantastic. So hopefully you're back up and running. But the real question is, how do you stop this from happening all over again next month? Well, it's all about shifting from putting out fires to, fireproofing. I mean, just look at the difference here. On the left, you've got that stressful, last-minute panic mode, just scrambling to fix what's broken. But on the right, you've got calm, simple, regular habits. Spending 5 minutes a month on this stuff can literally save you hours of panic when payday is on the line. So, here's a super simple checklist to help you stay ahead of the game. First, always use a modern supported browser. Easy enough. Next, make clearing your cache a monthly routine. And here's a big one. Try not to run QuickBooks in a bunch of different tabs at the same time. That can really confuse things. These seem like small steps, but trust me, they make a huge difference.
So, we've covered a lot. If you're going to remember just one single thing from all of this, what should it be? Let's boil it all down to the most important point.
This is it, right here.
That scary server error almost never means your system is about to explode. Nope, 99% of the time, it's just a tiny communication breakdown. And that means your most powerful tool isn't some complicated repair process, it's just building these small, proactive habits into your workflow.
So, I'll leave you with this question to think about. Now that you know what usually causes these problems, take an honest look at your own process. Is your workflow built to handle the next inevitable glitch? Because there's always going to be a next glitch. Or are you just waiting for the next round of payday panic? The choice is really yours. Thanks for tuning in.